Welcome everyone to the Pro Trade Room Plus, the 20-year auction. My name is Lee Goldstein, the Trading Director for 10-Minute Trades. Please remember, all the trades we discuss are for educational purposes. It is possible to lose money trading futures, so trade carefully, please. And let's get started. Okay, let me know you can hear me and see the charts okay. Everybody, everything sound good? Okay. All right, I want to welcome some of our guests from today, and let me get our YouTube stream. I totally always forget we're doing YouTube. Let me put YouTube on. So welcome everybody. You should be able to see the charts and you should be able to hear me. All right. So we're here for the 20-year bond auction. We have a daily trade report. And we're looking at the possible news result in the lower right-hand corner of the charts. We're going to be trading ZB 0324. I'm also watching gold on the right chart. And we will be using our trusty clock to help us keep track of the time. So just some of the tools we'll be using for this trade. I can't believe it's December 20th, 5 days away from Christmas. Amazing. I feel like I haven't listened to hardly any Christmas music. All right, let's look at our daily trade report. We'll start with that. Every day before an event, we send our members the daily market mover, the daily trade report, so that they can understand the setup that we are going to use to trade the bond auction. So the daily market mover, trading the 20-year auction. The market we're using is ZB 324. That's what we're going to be trading. And you could see that there have been some positive behavioral signs in our journal, our mini trade journal. Last month was a winner. The month before was a winner. And then September, probably barely one tick available. But if we look at the behavior, I mean, you can trade, Sander, you can trade ZN on this report. I've never tested ZF on the bond reports. Chantal seems to think they can be traded. I have not looked at them, so I can tell you that I watch ZN and ZF all the time, and ZN and ZB, I mean, but I have not watched ZF at all on the bond reports. My guess is they should be, I can't imagine why it wouldn't be any less tradable than any report that we trade where all three of those bonds generally move in concert with each other. Okay? That's the general rule. So I think you should be okay on ZF. That's what I think. You know, you could use a little bit bigger stop. You could use the 5 stop if you wanted to. It's, was it $6 and was it $7.25 on the tick? on ZF? I always forget. It's 7 and change, I believe. I think it's $7 and change. ZN is 15-ish, right? And 30 is 31 and a quarter. ZB is 31 and a quarter. It's 781. Yeah, I figured it's something crazy like that. 781. Okay. I guess in some place, somewhere in a galaxy far, far away, that makes sense. 781 does make sense somewhere. Thanks, everybody who's watching us on YouTube. Hit that like button and get our channel really smoking. It'll really help us. All right. So I want to pull up a couple of old DMMs just to give folks an idea of what's been going on with the 20-year bond auction over this past few months. Because like I said, it is behaving much better over the past 3 weeks. We've noticed that pretty much all the bond reports have started behaving much better. The 30, the 10, and the 7. We've been having profitable trades. The last two, the 30-year last week was a winner. I believe the 10-year the week before, the day before, was a winner. Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, it was a winner. So what I'm going to do is pull up a year ago DMM, and I'll pull up a couple of DMMs some months ago as well, just to give people an idea. Bear with me, I have to make sure I can find the right DMMs. It's a little tricky. All right, let's see what we got. So if we look at July on the DMMs for the 20-year auction, now it is interesting, we just finished crude. Back June and July, crude, just so people know, it was a 50-50, okay, folks? 50-50. We have now had potentially 3 winners in a row on crude. Now, looking at the 20-year bond, back at the beginning of the year, January of 23, 6 months, really 1 10-tick winner out of 6. 1 out of 6. That is not all that great. Now, let me see if I can just grab the 7-year. This might work. Let's see if this will work. Hold on. Let me get a newer one than that. I can't find the exact one I want. Give me 30 seconds, folks. Let me see if I can find it. Bear with me. I'm just trying. I think what we're going to see, I mean, look, I can just tell you because I can't find it. The 20-year bond has been terrible. It's been one of our most poorly behaving reports in a long time. And you can see it. The first 6 months of the year are really lousy. Okay, and then back in 22, you could see the beginning of the year, like it started the end of 22, it was better. January was the last winner in a while. January was the last winner in a while. Going into December, now we're finally starting to see some winners again. So there's definitely been a change in the behavior of the bond reports. The only negative is that pretty small September and October were pretty small winners. November had a nice move, 11 ticks. Let's set up the trade and then we'll look through some videos. All right. So you're certainly not going to go for giant targets because it's not warranted at this point in time. This is going to be a breakout. We're going to trigger our orders at 1301.30. 1301.30. But I'm going to leave the first two numbers of the time on 0 because I'm going to check my time sync. Our bracket is 3. We use a bracket of 3 for the trade. We have 2 positions. Position 1 is a 1. Position 2 is a 1. And we have 2 targets, 1 for each position. Target 1 is 2 ticks. Target 2 is 6 ticks. And we have a 3-tick stop loss. And then I'm just going to scroll down. I don't really have to do much of anything else. I'm going to turn off the account warnings. Account warnings are for folks that are new. If they're trading live, they'll get a warning. Hey, do you want to be trading live? It's just a heads up so you don't make a mistake. And I always use the label feature. I'm trading ZB on this report. And for right now, I'm going to apply it. I'm going to remove everything. And we're going to test our bracket width. I'm going to test the bracket width by enabling the trade, knowing that my time is on 0. So it calculates and prints the brackets way before the trade is expected to activate. That's just so we could test the width of our brackets to see that we can trade properly. We have enough space. Now, the only negative is it would be a terrible shame if price pops right to the VWAP and changes direction. Our order, our bracket, is right at the VWAP. The only good thing I would say is that the VWAP was tested at 12 o'clock and it was pierced quite well. So I think there's a possibility that that particular resistance at the moment is weaker because it has shown it can be broken, and it was significantly broken. Significantly, it was moderately broken less than an hour ago. So that's good. Our bracket size is fine, the width. So I'm going to go back, put our time back to the correct entry time, the correct time that our orders will appear on the chart, 1301.30. Bracket is 3. Position 1 is 1 contract. Position 2 is 1 contract. Profit target 1 is 2 ticks. Target 2 is 6 ticks. The stop is 3. We're pretty much ready to trade. I'm going to trade live money, putting my account on live, apply it, okay it. Charts go to live. And we already put our time back, right? 1301.30. So we can now enable our trade, and we're ready. When 1301.01 p.m. comes around, our orders will go on the charts because we believe the 20-year auction will move the market shortly after 1 minute and 30 seconds after 1 p.m. Eastern time. That's what we believe will happen, and it will happen. That's what will happen. I'm also watching gold on the right chart just because I like to watch gold. All right, so we have our DMM. We're getting our trade set up from this yellow line. And here's a little bit of notation at the bottom. This bond auction usually resembles the market reaction to the 30-year bond auction. The last 12 months have had only 4 profitable trades. Okay? That was my point at the beginning of the room, that this has not been a great performing report, but I'm willing to trade it live because it's been performing better lately. And the bond auction's not, now the 20-year bond auction is newer, is a newer auction for us that we trade. When the company first got started, there were 3 auctions that we traded: the 7, the 10, and the 30. And then we noticed that the 20 was also, like the DMM says, it resembled the action on the 30. It seemed worth trading. And it has been worth trading up until this year. This year, the performance has just been kind of lousy. So we keep an eye on it. When performance is lousy, maybe we'll trade just one contract, which we did for a couple of months on all the auctions when we went live on them. And then, we've seen the 30, like I said, we've seen them just starting to behave a little bit better. I'm not going to shout from the rooftops about these reports yet. But the idea is we look at the behavior. We think we see a change in behavior, so we'll change our behavior. I'm just putting my indicator net change display on ticks rather than points, because when I look at ticks, I can see what the 20-year bond has done since last night at 6 p.m. All right, so let's look at a couple of videos. Last month, we had a pretty good move. So we're going to zoom to the time of the trade, 31:30. And our orders are on the chart. Now you could see this was a little bit nerve-wracking. Look at where our orders were last month, right at the PP and the high of the day. That would have been an interesting candidate for a reversal trade there. That's a pretty powerful magnet. PP and high of day, very magnetized area. It just pretty easily goes right through it and makes a very new high. It was a very good move. Now look, usually you go through resistance easily like that when the news offset warrants the move. That's usually what causes that kind of behavior. So that was a good move. Now bonds are volatile today. There's been, at the moment, not necessarily today, but at this moment, there's been a lot of discussion of, not discussion, there's been mention of the auction on the TV news today, a little bit more than I would have expected. So maybe, there's more people watching the auction today. In general, the auctions might be behaving a little bit better because of the Fed, interest rates, attention to the market, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, this was 2 months ago. Now, 2 months ago, we were just trading one contract. because again, the behavior, there had only been one previous winner 2 months ago. So you can trade, and I was trying to be cute also. I remember what we did. We traded using the direction command in our software, and I was planning on the fact that bonds were going to be negative and move down. And it just goes to show, don't ever try to guess what the market's going to do. That's one rule that, it was because of what the 30-year did the week before. I thought I would be cute and try to outsmart the market, trade in the direction I was certain it was going to go. And of course, it was a winning trade to the other direction. So we didn't lose anything, but we didn't get a fill and we didn't have a trade. And had we just used our normal setup, it would have been a nice winner. Lesson learned, don't try to be cute and don't try to outsmart the news. Just assume one thing, that most probably the news will move the market, but you're not going to be able to guess which direction it's going to move it. There's no guarantee that it will move it in the direction you think, even if the news result is what you expect. The one thing you can usually count on is the unexpected. So don't try to be too cute, because it's not going to work. If it did work, it would have made me dangerous, and I probably would have done it again. It was much better to get a heads up, not to be cute, not to be smart, not try to outthink the news. We know better. I really thought it was just a temporary anomaly in the markets that might repeat itself, but it didn't. Looking at September was a very small move. And back in September, we were not live because there were not very many well-performing reports before September to give us interest in risking real money. Now, of course, we could have a losing trade today. That's part of the job. But the bonds still will not change the fact that they are behaving better, and probably they will continue. I think they will continue to trade a little bit better. That's my gut feeling. So we'll see. But you could see in September, it just barely got above our entry. It was not easy to get a profit. When you have such a small move, you've got to get a second follow through, which it did do right there. And sometimes, we're only looking for 1 or 2 ticks, and it was not easy, even in sim, to get it that day. So in real life, that would have been tough to exit with a win. It was not easy. It did eventually change direction. You can see it. And then most of the previous events prior were out and out stops. August is a stop. Our orders on the chart, and it just did a very fast fill and change in direction. Call that a little whipsaw. And that happens sometimes on these bond auctions. And let's look at one more. Let's go back. Let's go way back in the Wayback Machine. What's that from? The Wayback. What movie was that? The Wayback Machine. I don't remember. Let's go back to 2020, the pandemic, the bond auction during the pandemic. How about that? Let's go way back. September. Let's go back a little further. Pandemic started theoretically March 2020. Looking at January. Oh no, this is not pandemic, not fair. I want to do in the pandemic. So let's go to November. Pandemic. Let me see what we were trading in November. Yeah. ZB. And we were looking at ultra bonds also. UB. So this was November 18th, 2020. Orders on the chart. It was Bullwinkle, really, John? Wow. I would never have known that. I barely remember Bullwinkle. Who was his partner? Was Bullwinkle like a reindeer? And it was, that looked like a strange move. Let's see, what was that? What happened there? Rocky and Bullwinkle. Rocky and Bullwinkle. Rocky was a squirrel. Is that what it was? I think so. Okay, so we survived a short fill, it looks like. That was a very fast move. Who knows what would have happened actually live on that one? You would have had to have been live to know for sure what that result would have been. But you could see it was initially a false move to the upside, and then the big move was to the downside on that event. All right, let's get ready. 1301.30. 1301.30. I'm definitely concerned at the volatility here. It's a little bit out of the norm. Be prepared to press the adjust button if there's movement before the auction fills us. I would like to see, just go test the high right now. I'd rather see that happen right now. Check our time sync by going to the website Time Is. Okay, and my computer is in sync. For anybody that regularly comes to the trade room, we do offer a free tool, 2 of them, PT Time Sync or Dimension 4, and Karen's Time Sync. The file's called PT Time Sync. Both of them will help make sure your computer is in sync. The bonds are acting like they want to move on this report. They've moved before the report. All right, so we're waiting. What's going to happen is 1301.30, our orders will show up on the chart. That's this chart right here. Normally, we will see about anywhere between 10 and 40 seconds before there's actually movement from the auction. The auction actually takes place at 1 o'clock. And for whatever reason, it takes that minute and a half of time to filter into the market. It's unusual because most news reports that we trade, they don't filter like that. Now there must be a very specific reason why that's the case that somebody must know out there. A moose is a reindeer, isn't it? Could a moose be a reindeer or not really? I guess a reindeer's a reindeer. All right. So another minute. So there's something that happens at 1 o'clock where they receive data, but it's not the actual auction taking place. And I can hear that in my headset. Now, in all the years we've been doing this, I don't think we've ever, hardly ever have we seen early data release. In other words, I could think of maybe one time in all the years we've been doing this that the news hit the market before our orders. There was a time where we had our orders on the charts 15 seconds later. There's the orders. Now that's one tick. Okay, so it did a whipsaw and took us out. So nothing you can do when you have a move like that. It was just a fill and a whip, a fill and a whip. Absolutely nothing. Nothing could have saved that trade. Nothing. So we'll look at the video. That's a shame because it now it looks like really the move was to the downside, and what happened is it burst up and flipped down. But what's interesting is it didn't burst up to the high. It just burst up enough ticks to just give us a fill. So there's a couple of things you have to look at that doesn't make you upset when you don't have a trade that works. Every trade isn't going to work. So the one thing that I always look at, besides the actual event itself, which we'll look at in a second, but we look at what's been going on. All right. So what's been going on is we've had 3 winners in a row. So now next month, we'll come in to the trade room. There was no great follow through on the downside either. So it's sort of like the market is not really making a commitment to either direction at the moment. We're not 100% sure of that yet. But we'll come into the trade next month and we'll have a DMM that has 3 out of the last 4 winners. And it'll be, that's still a positive trend that would make us trade the report. So you can't, you have 3 winners in a row. You absolutely have to trade the report when you have 3 winners in a row. I suppose that you could look and you could say, well, that 5-tick winner maybe really doesn't qualify as a great winner. But based on what's been going on with all the other bond reports, I'm still willing. I'll still be willing to trade bond reports next month, because when we go through the DMMs, they're going to be mostly positive, and every single trade can't be a winner. So that's, it would have been beautiful if it was perfect today, but it did not have a good move. Let's look at the video, and you can see that it burst up, pulled us in, and then it shot down a little bit. Not all that much in either direction, but that's what happened. That's why that trade didn't work. Let me show you the video. It takes a second to render it. All right, here's the video. So we scroll all the way to the entry time. All right, our orders went on the chart. There was nothing. That was very fast. It was quick, right? It was quick. So if you notice what happened, it shot down and then it burst up. So you could see I stopped the video and it shot down, never giving us a profit. It never went past the entry. It just shot down and burst up. And that's why it didn't work. And you could see bonds are just kind of hanging around where they were before the report. So it's going to happen that way. That's part of what we do. Sometimes you get a great move and you get a fantastic event. Sometimes you get a little burst and change in direction like we just saw here. So a lot of folks, a lot of guests, you get to see the truth. We are transparent. That's what we do. I'll see everybody that's a guest. I'll see all of our challenge members 2 o'clock in the classroom, and everyone else, we will be back. Here's the schedule. We will be back tomorrow. 3 possible events. I will be trading GDP, natural gas, and I'm pretty sure I'll be trading Nike earnings as well. Pretty sure. It's going to depend on my last minute testing on Nike. Very short trade room on Nike tomorrow. But I'll see everybody, all of our regulars, at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning in the room. Okay, folks? See everybody later. 2 o'clock for class. Okay, everyone. Take care. Have a good rest of your day if you're not going to be in class. Bye-bye.